All right, we're back for Chapter 2 of The Secret Rescuers, The Storm Dragon, written by Paula Harrison and illustrated by Sophie Williams. Again, I'm not going to show you the cover because I want you to try to picture the dragon before I actually show it to you. So, I figured there's a dragon in here since it's called The Storm Dragon. Chapter 2 is called Crash Landing. Sophie was so busy after that she didn't have time to think about the golden songbird or look inside the little purple bag in her apron pocket. She swept the floor in the throne room, polished all the queen's crowns, and helped cook decorate a huge chocolate cake that would be served to Her Majesty at tea time. After that, Sophie went to gather apples in the orchard. She worked quickly, picking all the ripe fruit on the lower branches, and then fetching a ladder to reach the apples higher up. She'd just filled a second basket when she heard shouting on the other side of the garden. The wind suddenly blew strongly, making the apple trees sway. Sophie's ladder rocked too, and she held on tight to keep her balance. A purple shape zoomed overhead, and a terrible screech sent a shiver down her back. The awful cry ended in a thump, followed by the sound of cracking branches. Something had hit one of the apple trees. Sophie quickly climbed down the ladder and hurried through the orchard. Broken branches lay on the ground not far away, and leaves were floating down. Setting down her basket, she went closer. Had a bird crashed into the tree? It must have been a pretty big one to cause so much damage. Maybe a raven or an eagle. The poor thing could be badly hurt. As she got nearer, she saw that half of the tree's branches were snapped off, and there was a long black mark across its trunk. Something wriggled under one of the broken branches, and a puff of gray dust drifted into the air. Sophie spun round to call for help, but a whimpering noise stopped her. That didn't sound like a bird. Her heart began to race. Maybe that puff of gray wasn't dust at all. Maybe it was smoke. An amazing thought popped into her head as she crept right up to the damaged tree. Hardly daring to breathe, she crouched down and lifted up the broken branch. The creature hiding underneath was purple. Its skin looked soft, but it had bumpy ridges running down its back and along its tail. Another puff of smoke rose from its nostril as it coughed. Then it rolled over onto its four-clawed feet, shook its web-like wings, and looked at Sophie with wide amber eyes. Sophie knew what it was. She'd listened carefully to many tales about these magical creatures. This was a dragon. "Are you real?" Sophie whispered, reaching out to touch the creature. The dragon gave a snort of alarm and jumped backward. Its amber eyes narrowed, fixing on Sophie. A gust of wind rustled the leaves on the trees. "It's all right. I won't hurt you," Sophie said gently. The creature was smaller than she'd thought a dragon would be, a little shorter than a gardener's dog. The roundness of its cute purple snout made it look a bit like a puppy. The dragon crept toward her and sniffed her hand, swishing its long purple tail. "That's it. I won't hurt you," Sophie repeated. The dragon came even closer, till she could feel its warm breath on her face. Then it gave her cheek a long, slobbery lick and sat back on its haunches. Sophie laughed and tried to wipe off the slobber. She glanced at the broken apple tree. "I guess you didn't mean to land here. I wonder why you crashed." The little dragon sniffed the air and then tried to stretch out its webbed wings, but its left one wouldn't straighten. The dragon tried again, but the left wing dangled uselessly by its side. At last the dragon gave up, and a large tear rolled out of its eye and dripped onto the ground. "You poor thing, you're injured," cried Sophie. "Does it really hurt?" The little dragon sank to the ground, still crying. Sophie patted its bumpy back, wishing she knew what to do. The creature's sobbing was mixed with a dragonish growling, as if it were trying to talk to her. The wind rose again, bending the tree and sending leaves skittering along the ground. "Oh, dear, I wish I knew how to help you," said Sophie. "It must have been horrible crashing like that." A lump came to her throat. Kneeling down, she threw her arms around the creature and kissed its pointy ears. The dragon stopped sobbing. When Sophie drew back, she realized that her apron pocket felt very warm. She reached inside for the little bag of stones she'd almost forgotten about. When she lifted it out, she knew at once that something strange was happening. Fingers trembling, she opened the bag and poured the rough gray stones onto the ground. One of them wasn't gray any longer. It had turned a deep, glowing amber, the exact same color as the dragon's eyes. Sophie picked it up and watched the stone grow brighter in the palm of her hand. It became hotter, too. So hot she didn't think she could hold it anymore. Yet somehow she didn't want to let go. Crack! The stone broke into 2 pieces. The orange glow faded until the 2 parts of the stone were gray and ordinary again. Except Sophie looked closer. The stone was hollow. Inside each part was a tiny cave filled with purple crystals. She gazed at the 2 pieces of rock in turn, studying the little forest of crystals inside. They glittered in the sunlight like hidden treasure. "It's really beautiful," she said to herself. "Pretty," agreed the dragon. Sophie's mouth dropped open. "What did you say?" "It's pretty," repeated the dragon. But then his eyes welled with tears again. "But my wing hurts." He tried to flap his crooked wing. Sophie took a moment to get her breath back. "You're talking," she gasped. "That's amazing. I think this stone must be magic." The creature blinked and forgot to cry. "Well, it is very shiny." Sophie smiled. "Maybe you see magic all the time, but it's never happened to me before. I'm Sophie." "Sophie?" said the dragon, trying out the name. Then he coughed, and a little flame shot out of his mouth. "My name's Cloud Twister, but everyone calls me Cloudy for short. I'm a storm dragon." All right, could you picture him? It's the end of chapter 2. Let's see if you can picture him. All right, so here she is picking apples. Here's Storm Dragon. Here's our little guy. There's where it's crashing, and she's like, "What was that?" And there he is, tucked into the little... Here he is with his wing hurts. All right, we're going to stop there for today.